Over the years, the Philippines has gone from being one of the richest countries in Asia following Japan, to being one of the poorest in the region, to one of the most promising and emerging economies in Asia, as the Philippines is on its way in regaining its former glory. When the Philippines declared independence from Spain, the country was one of the most advanced economies in the whole of Asia, next only to Japan. When GDP per capita was measured in 1900, the Philippines ranked second with GDP per capita of $1,003. That made it the second richest place in all of Asia, just a little behind to Japan with $1,135, and far ahead of China with $652, or India with GDP per capita of $625. During the American colonization of more than 4 decades of administration, the Philippines experienced a long period of relatively uninterrupted economic growth and social development. As soon as American political power was established in the country, business opportunities opened for American capital. The Philippine economy became part of the larger American market. Such integration enlarged its potential for investment opportunities. Investments in construction, local transport, and utilities were expanded. As the trading relationships enlarged, threatened American interests succeeded in getting their government to impose quantitative quotas and other forms of trade controls that would limit the expansion of Philippine exports. These issues constituted sharp economic divides by the time of the clamor for independence for the colony. Nevertheless, in 1940 the country was well on the way to a prosperous future. Political independence was in the near future. The standard of living of the common Filipino was higher in any part of Southeast Asia. During the Japanese invasion during World War II, economic growth receded and food shortages occurred. The overall condition of the economy was inexorably taking place, with production of food and other products falling precipitously and supplies becoming scarce. The country also experienced the worst inflation in its history. The total output of the economy in 1945, by the war's end, was reduced to 30% of the pre-war GDP level in 1940. Growth immediately after the war was rapid. This time the Philippines became fully independent from the United States. In an effort to solve the massive socio-economic problems of the period brought about by the war, the newly established government strengthened its finances through the revision of taxation and established international diplomacy and relations to enhance foreign trade. From the 1950s to the 1970s, the Philippines was the biggest economy in all of Southeast Asia despite of its smaller land area compared to Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. It also obtained the highest GDP per capita in the region. The Philippines' economy grew at a relatively high average annual rate of 6.4% during this period. In the early 1970s, the currency floated as a result of the government's deficit of more than 1 billion pesos. As public spending was funded by public debt, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank underscored the modest growth of the country despite borrowing vast sums of money. The public debt rose to $25 billion in 1983. The declaration of martial law in 1972 created many new opportunities for reform, but facilitated the capture of the state by newly centralized regime interests. In the 1980s, the Philippine economy was hurt by political instability, authoritarianism, increasing foreign debt, falling commodity prices, corporate mismanagement, and vast unemployment. The Philippine economy began to run into difficulty because of the declining world market for Philippine exports, trouble in borrowing on the international capital market, and a domestic financial scandal. The problem was compounded by political insurgencies. In 1983, the country descended into a political and economic crisis in the aftermath of the assassination of former Senator Benigno Aquino, and circumstances had not improved when Marcos fled the country in February 1986. The Philippines was once a model for its economic development among East Asian economies. Ended up being dubbed as the sick man of Asia, whose economy was driven by debt. At this time, the Philippines has dramatically surpassed by Indonesia in the early 70s, by Thailand in the 80s, and by the 1990s the Philippines was also been surpassed by Malaysia and Singapore. The Philippines' economic recovery from the political instability in the 1980s was very slow. The socio- and economic issues during the martial law to the new liberal government have no changes. Only the government type has changed but failed to address issues thrown during the regime like corruption, human right violation, poverty, and inequality. During the Asian economic crisis from 1997 to 98, the Philippines stock market declined by 32%, and the currency against the dollar depreciated by as much as 48%. Because many of its exports went to Europe, its economy was not hurt that badly. Money sent home by Filipino workers abroad helped stabilize the currency. Even so, the Philippines recovered more slowly after the crisis than some other Asian countries that were much harder hit. The gloomy days of the Philippines economy start fading in the early 2010s. Philippine economy picks up, and its average growth rate from 4% significantly rises to 7%, surpassing its neighboring country in the region. The Philippines had the second highest growth rate in the world in 2012, after China. This is the comeback of the country's stable economy. The country also intensively modernized and expanded its public infrastructure to enhance mobility and spurs economic development to the country. In the past 6 years of rebuilding the country, the Philippines' infrastructure significantly improved, especially in the sector of aviation, railways, bridges, urban development, and roads and expressways. Over the past 2 decades, the Philippines has pursued game-changing structural reforms that led to high sustained growth and relatively rapid poverty reduction. From being the sick man of Asia, the Philippines was recognized as Asia's rising tiger. However, in 2020, COVID-19 struck and reversed some of the gains. Drawing lessons from the past, the administration of Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has embarked on a mission of economic and social transformation toward a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient society. Through the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, the Philippines endeavors to attain the following development goals. It will sustain the rapid growth of real gross domestic product or GDP at 6.5% to 8.0% each year. With high growth, gross national income per capita is targeted to increase from $6,044 to $6,571, allowing the Philippines to attain upper middle income country status between 2024 and 2025. To be meaningful, economic growth must be inclusive. Economic expansion will not just result in more jobs but better and high-quality jobs and improved quality of life. It aims to reduce the unemployment rate between 4 to 5%. It also aims to increase the proportion of wage and salaried workers in private establishments to 53 to 55.0% by 2028. In line with Ambition NATAN 2040, the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028 contains transformative initiatives and policies for its economy, society, institutions, and the environment. These include cross-cutting strategies, such as digitalization, more and better public-private partnership, improving connectivity, and harnessing technology and innovation. Servicification and strong collaboration between the national and local government. They will transform the economic and production sector to be competitive and globally connected. The agriculture and agri-business sector will be modernized to make the sector productive, diversified, resilient and strongly linked with industry and services. The industry sector will be revitalized. Science, technology, and innovation will be key drivers of industrialization, and will increase the country's competitiveness. To increase Filipinos' access to more economic opportunities, they will transform the social or human development sector. They will promote and improve lifelong learning and education to increase student success rates, and achieve their targeted level of proficiency in reading and math. To become globally competitive, they will work to increase the number of educational institutions that are reputable internationally. To boost health, the government will provide safe drinking water, basic sanitation, and nutritious food choices and implement other interventions leading to healthy schools, communities, workplaces, and lifestyles. The Philippine government aims to establish livable communities through the integrated use of space that will bring people closer to work, recreation, and transit option. Through production and effective supply management, food security and proper nutrition will be made accessible and affordable. The country will strengthen its social protection system to empower all Filipinos to prevent, respond to, and recover from various shocks, by streamlining the contingency financing mechanism, promoting digital cash transfer, and expanding insurance coverage. They will enable their workforce to earn higher incomes through skills upgrading and updating. With more and better jobs in the country, they will reintegrate migrant workers back into the domestic economy. To enable transformation, the country's institutions will be collaborative, responsive, reliable, and efficient in providing services. To ensure that economic growth is sustainable in the medium term, and the welfare of future generations will not be jeopardized, sound fiscal management will be implemented. The Philippines aims to reduce the national government deficit to GDP ratio to 3.0% and the outstanding national government to GDP ratio between 48 and 53% in 2028. It will improve its innovation ecosystem to move up the country's ranking in the Global Innovation Index, and improve its score and rank in the Global Competitiveness Index to be among the top 33%. Ultimately, obtaining these targets will allow the country to dramatically improve the welfare of Filipinos, with poverty incidence reduced to a single-digit level by 2028. These headline figures are translated into measurable indicators, as well as annual targets that will guide its strategies, actions, and budget over the next 6 years.
To my fellow Filipinos, ang aking mga minamahal na kababayan, batid ko na hindi madali ang ating pinagdaraanan sa nakaraang higit na 2 taon. Alam ko rin na ang bawat isa sa inyo ay ginagawa ang lahat ng inyong makakaya upang patuloy na harapin ang lahat na pagsubok sa kasalukuyan. We have assembled the best Filipino minds to help navigate us to this global crisis that we are now facing. We will endure. Let our Filipino spirit ever remain undimmed.